Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to your sleep story. I am Teresa Noy, your radical self-love coach. I work with high-achieving women who typically put themselves last to love themselves enough to put themselves first. You deserve to love, cherish, and honor yourself without guilt because your well-being matters. It gives me great joy to be the voice that guides you into a restful sleep tonight. You are so deeply loved. Your existence is the proof. Before we begin tonight's sleep story, let's start with a relaxation session. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support beneath you, the support of your bed, the floor, and the earth beneath. Imagine the warm sand of a beautiful beach, cradling you, holding you with the earth's gentle strength. Allow that certainty, that solidity, to enable you to release a little more, to sink into this moment a bit more. 9. You are safe. All is well. Allow my voice to be a point of safety for you. Allow my voice to be an anchor that keeps you in a safe space. Know that my voice will only ever bring you into safe places. Feel it into your body now. Notice where you might be holding tension. Maybe your feet, your hands, your face, or your belly. Just release it all. Your body has worked hard for you today. It's time for it to rest. It deserves rest. 8. Today is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. All you have is now. So thoughts about the day that just was, or days that are to come, don't serve you right now. Allow that realization to enable you to settle into this moment more. 7. This is your moment. You have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. The only place you need to be is here, enjoying this cozy sleep story and the sound of my voice. You deserve it. 6. You deserve it. You deserve rest. You deserve sleep. You deserve to be here. Allow that fact to help you let go a little more. 5. Perhaps allow yourself to feel a little gratitude now. Gratitude for this moment. Gratitude for the ability to rest. Gratitude for the simple things. Your breath, the shelter you have tonight, the opportunity to switch off in a place of safety. 4. Embrace the coziness of this moment, the coziness of lying down in a safe space, moving towards sleep in the beautiful act of storytelling. 3. Begin to engage with your imagine now. Engage with your imagination. Picture a beach in the Caribbean, a secluded spot on the beautiful island of Barbados, isolated from the rest of the world, or another favorite spot that you may have. Allow yourself to engage. Bring that picture to mind and check in with your body again. Make sure you're not holding tension anywhere. Release and allow yourself to sink a little deeper to completely let go now as I tell you tonight's sleep story. The soft hum of twilight settles over the city like a silken shawl. Everything slows, hushes, unwinds. At the edge of a quiet platform, a woman stands wrapped in a long, honey-colored coat, the kind that feels like a memory. Her name is Elise. She carries no luggage, only a caramel-colored satchel and a worn journal that smells faintly of lavender. There's no urgency in her stance, no checklist tapping at her temples. Tonight is different. Tonight, she is not chasing, fixing, proving. She is simply arriving. Before her, the vintage train awaits like a lullaby on wheels. Its body long and glossy, trimmed in brass and deep navy. Golden lamplight glows behind its windows like candlelight in a cathedral. A gentle whistle sings through the evening air. Not a command, but a beckoning. Elise steps aboard. The conductor, an older gentleman with eyes that twinkle like tea lights, nods without words and gestures her toward her cabin. There is no ticket to show, no identification required. This is not the kind of journey you earn. It's the kind you allow. Her cabin is a warm velvet cocoon. Plum drapes, polished cherry wood, and soft pillows the color of early morning mist. A single glass of chamomile tea waits on the nightstand, releasing gentle spirals of steam into the dim amber light. Elise sets her journal down. She slips off her shoes, feeling the plush carpet beneath her toes, like walking on fields of violets. She opens the window just slightly. Outside, the train exhales and begins to glide forward. Not a jolt, not a rumble, just a whisper of movement, like silk slipping off skin. She settles into the cushioned chair beside the window, knees tucked beneath her, and gazes out of the unfolding evening. The city begins to recede, buildings giving way to open spaces, and soon only fields and trees remain. They pass like gentle thoughts, soft, uninterrupted, content to be seen and then released. There is a softness blooming inside her, quiet and slow. She notices it in her shoulders, in the way her breath has deepened, in the way her pulse no longer taps a staccato rhythm behind her ribs. It is as though the train is breathing for her now, lulling her nervous system into stillness with each turn of the wheels. Outside, the countryside unfurls like a watercolor. Muted golds, sleepy greens, the occasional blush of wildflowers nodding in the fading light. Cows rest in the distant fields like punctuation marks in a pastoral poem. A windmill turns lazily, almost smiling. Elise touches the cool glass of the window with her fingertips. She can feel the rhythm of the world, slow, steady, kind. It reminds her of her grandmother's kitchen, of the way honey poured slowly from the jar, of lullabies sung with eyes closed. She realizes she hasn't thought about tomorrow in over an hour. Her mind hasn't wandered to emails, to meetings, to metrics. There's no mental whiteboard to fill in. There is only this moment, and it is enough. The tea warms her hands. She sips it slowly, letting the herbal comfort unfurl across her tongue like petals in morning sun. The taste is simple, earthy, familiar. She doesn't need a new goal, a strategy, a breakthrough. What she craves is this: presence, ease, a soft landing place for her thoughts. She notices the smallest things, how the pattern on her blanket resembles waves, how the light fixture hums just slightly, like a lullaby only the walls can hear, how the chair she's nestled into cradles her body like a grandmother's hug, secure, generous, full of knowing. The train carries her deeper into night. No destination is announced, no itinerary declared. It doesn't matter. She isn't trying to get somewhere. She is already exactly where she needs to be. Outside, stars begin to blink open, one by one, like wishes gently remembering themselves. Elise smiles, not because of anything in particular, but because she can. And in this perfect, ordinary magic, this moment of stillness between the beats of a busy life, she whispers a thank you she didn't know she'd been waiting to say. The train hums its response. Elise wakes, not with a jolt, but with the gentle awareness that night has wrapped itself around her like a soft shawl. The train glides on, the hum beneath her feet steady as a heartbeat at rest. She doesn't remember falling asleep. She hadn't meant to. But the chair, the warmth, the stillness, it had all conspired to soothe her into a sleep so deep, it felt like the body finally exhaling centuries of tension. A rest she didn't know she needed, arriving without fanfare. Now, her eyes blink open to a world steeped in moonlight. She steps quietly into the hallway of the sleeping car, drawn not by urgency, but curiosity. The corridor stretches before her, like a dream unspooling. Lamps dimmed to the golden glow of candle wax. Shadows, soft as whispers. The floor, creaking just barely beneath her bare feet. Each step feels intentional, though there is nowhere she needs to go. Outside, the moon drapes himself across the landscape, silvering everything she touches. Trees become lace against the sky. Meadows turn into still oceans of light. The world is hushed, as if the land itself is in a state of reverent sleep. There is a desire beginning to form in Elise. Not a hunger, not a longing, but a gentle wondering. A wish to understand why this moment feels so familiar, as though she's been here before, not in body, but in spirit. She presses her hand to her chest and feels her own rhythm, calmer, quieter, like the drumbeat of a song she used to know. At the far end of the corridor, a glass door waits slightly ajar. Beyond it, a lounge car. She pushes it open and the air changes. Not colder, not warmer, just deeper, like stepping into the inside of a poem. Plush chairs circle the space like old friends. Low shelves brim with books whose titles are rubbed smooth from loving hands. A tray of lemon shortbread and dried figs sits untouched on a small table as if waiting only for her. She pours herself a cup of warm rosewater tea from a porcelain pot adorned with tiny peacocks. The scent rises, subtle and floral, like spring remembering itself. She carries it to a velvet window seat and curls into its wide embrace. The train, still moving, barely whispers now. It is a lullaby made of steel and rhythm, gliding through midnight like a thought too beautiful to speak aloud. Elise watches her reflection dance in the window, soft, softened, something about her looser now. The tight edges of her ambition have melted into something slower, rounder. She is not any less powerful here. She is just not striving. Outside, a single deer crosses a moonlit clearing, its movement fluid and unhurried. Elise smiles, sipping her tea, feeling her presence return to her like a tide, not in pieces, not in parts, but whole. Whole in her stillness, whole without performance, whole in the quiet knowing of her enoughness. She picks up a book at random. No title, no author, just soft linen binding and feather-light pages. Inside, instead of words, she finds sketches of hands holding teacups, of open skies, of women resting between trees, of water lilies that look like they're sighing. No story, no arc, just moments captured in stillness. That's what this night is, she realizes. A collection of still moments. No rising action, no grand revelation, just the tender permission to notice beauty without needing to chase it. She lays the book down and turns her attention inward. Not the kind of inward that analyzes or fixes, but the kind that listens. She hears her own quiet thoughts, not the loud ones, the soft ones, the ones that usually get overpowered by schedules, strategy, solving. Tonight, those thoughts have room to stretch. The lounge car sways slightly. The cushions hold her like a lullaby in fabric form. Her eyelids grow heavy again, not from fatigue, but from the sheer softness of it all. She surrenders to rest once more. Elise whispers a simple thought that rises from deep within. I didn't know it could be this easy to feel like myself. And as the train presses gently on into the velvet night, the stars nod in agreement. Morning arrives, not with noise or fanfare, but as a soft illumination. A pale gold light begins to filter through the curtains of Elise's cabin, gentle as a kiss on the forehead. There's a fragrance in the air, cinnamon, honey, a hint of citrus. She stirs slowly, savoring the in-between space where sleep and waking still hold hands. There is no alarm, no calendar invite waiting, no demand tapping at her shoulder. Just the morning, arriving like a friend who knows not to knock too loudly. Elise stretches, her body moving like syrup warmed by the sun. She walks barefoot to the window and opens the drapes just a little. Outside, the landscape has changed again. Rolling meadows dotted with sleepy sheep, willow trees bowing gracefully beside streams, and the delicate blush of early blossoms brushing against the wind. The countryside looks like it's exhaling. She slips on a soft robe and steps into the corridor again, following the faint melody of porcelain clinking and quiet jazz floating through the train. It leads her to the dining car, a room that glows with old-world charm. The ceiling is arched with intricate brass fixtures, casting a warm light across white linen-covered tables. Everything shines, but not in a flashy way. More like the soft glow of something well-loved. The maitre d' greets her with a nod, as if they've known each other in another life. He gestures to a table by the window, set for one, but abundant in its welcome. She takes her seat, and a steaming pot of Earl Grey arrives almost instantly. Its scent is comforting, familiar, like a favorite song hummed quietly in the background. The tea is poured into a delicate cup with gold trim. It feels like holding a sunrise in her hands. Elise slips slowly. She notices everything. The way the tea curls on her tongue, bright and floral. The way the linen napkin is folded, like a swan about to take flight. The way her reflection in the polished silver teapot looks softer, as though kindness has taken up permanent residence in her gaze. She orders something simple: steel-cut oats with sliced pear and a drizzle of lavender honey. The presentation is elegant, but not performative. Nothing here is trying too hard. It's as if the meal itself is designed to affirm that nourishment can be gentle. With each bite, Elise feels herself arriving more fully into her own body, not with the jolt of coffee or the rush of multitasking, but with warmth, with patience, with presence. Around her, other passengers dine in hushed joy. Some read, some gaze out at the passing fields. Some just sit with their hands wrapped around their cups, smiling at nothing in particular. No one is checking a watch. No one is rushing. There is no rush to be found. And then, unexpectedly, but naturally, music begins. A cellist, seated quietly in the corner, begins to play. The notes are low and slow, drawn out like silk threads being pulled through time. The sound wraps around Elise like a lullaby waking up. She closes her eyes and lets the music fill her, not to analyze it, not to judge it, but to feel it. Each note seems to say, "You are safe. You are held. You are allowed to rest." Elise exhales, slow and steady. The tension that once lived in the corners of her thoughts has vanished like mist in morning sun. She opens her journal and begins to write, not with urgency or purpose, but with presence, noticing, capturing, letting thoughts flow like the countryside outside her window. One simple sentence appears on the page. I want more mornings like this. Not a demand, not a plan, just a knowing, a permission whispered into paper. The train hums on, rhythmic and steady. As she finishes her meal, Elise doesn't think about what's next. She doesn't reach for her phone. She doesn't plot the hours ahead. She simply places her napkin down, finishes the last sip of tea, and gazes out the window. The sun is higher now, dappling the hills with gold. Wildflowers bloom in soft patches like nature's own confetti tossed in celebration. Elise smiles. This is an escape. This is return. Elise follows the winding hallway toward the observation car, her steps slow and deliberate, not from fatigue, but from a kind of reverence, the kind that comes when time stretches wide, no longer something to beat, but something to be with. The door opens without resistance, revealing a sanctuary made entirely of glass and light. Windows curve up into the ceiling, framing the sky like a living painting. Daylight pours in, not harsh, not binding, but soft, like the hush of a cathedral. The air smells faintly of cedar and lemon balm, as if the room itself has been steeped in calm. Elise chooses a chaise that wraps around her body like an embrace. She faces forward toward the tracks, stretching into the horizon, as if inviting her to witness the journey she's already in. She settles in, limbs loose, spine relaxed, her breath deep and steady, like waves meeting sand. Outside, the scenery shifts again. Tall grasses swaying in gentle unison, sleepy barns nestled in fields, an occasional cluster of poppies painting the green with red. Everything feels curated, but not by human hands. More like God's own art gallery. Simple, wild, breathtaking in its lack of urgency. Elise watches without needing to name or label anything. She is not consuming the moment. She is inhabiting it. The other passengers speak in whispers, if at all. Some journal, others sip mint tea from clear glass mugs. A woman knits slowly in the corner, her fingers dancing a rhythm only she understands. It's a quiet communion, each person alone, yet not lonely. Above, the sky is a soft, uninterrupted blue. No clouds, no drama, just clarity. A mirror of Elise's own state. For once, her thoughts are not pinging from task to task, to do. They're like the train, smooth, unhurried, sure of their direction, even if no one says it aloud. The rhythmic clack of the rails beneath her is meditative, a lullaby made of earth and iron. It's not just movement, it's medicine. Each turn of the wheels seems to roll away another thought she doesn't need to carry anymore. She notices how the sun slants through the windows, making patterns on the floor that shift like slow dancers. Dust particles hang in the light, shimmering like golden pollen, as if the air itself is alive with blessing. In this sacred stillness, a single thought arises. This is what peace feels like. It's not a reward for productivity. It's not the leftover scrap of time she sometimes saves for herself at the end of long days. It's not performative. It just is. Elise leans her head back, allowing the train's subtle sway to rock her. Her lids flutter, but don't close. She's somewhere between waking and dreaming. And for the first time in a long time, that in-between feels like home. She remembers a moment from childhood, sitting on her grandmother's porch, a popsicle in hand, watching bees circle the garden. Time was slow then too. Back then, she didn't need to accomplish to be worthy. She just was. And now, decades later, the train has returned her to that same stillness, not by taking her back, but by bringing her forward into herself. A small voice inside her, one she rarely gives space to, whispers a gentle truth. Rest is not what I do after I prove I've earned it. Rest is what returns me to who I really am. The voice doesn't demand change. It doesn't urge her to hustle differently. It simply invites her to remember. Outside, a creek comes into view, winding like a silver ribbon through fields of sage. Elise watches it curve and disappear, just as her thoughts do, arriving, flowing, releasing. She doesn't need to hold on to anything right now, not even clarity, just presence. One of the staff members quietly approaches with a soft blanket and a knowing smile. No words needed. Elise nods, accepts the comfort, and drapes it over her legs like a promise. And there she stays, not solving, not strategizing, not stretching toward anything, just here, letting the train hold her, letting the earth sing her a silent song, letting the moment be enough. The day begins to lean softly toward evening. It happens slowly, like a curtain being drawn in gentle increments. The light outside shifts from honey to amber. The trees casting longer shadows that stretch across the fields like old stories. Elise remains seated in the observation car for a while longer, cradled in warmth, her body draped in stillness, like it was always meant to live there. Eventually, something pulls her gently to rise. Not obligation, not restlessness, but a kind of internal curiosity. A pull, like the way flowers turn instinctively toward the sun. She steps back into the corridor and follows the train's steady rhythm toward what the staff has called the twilight car. It's near the end of the train, reserved for dusk, designed for slowing down even further. When she enters, she exhales a little more. This space is different. Wrapped in deep blues and warm golds, it feels like walking into the hour just before a secret is spoken. The lighting is dim but intentional. Lamps with shades the color of dried rose petals. The walls are lined with books and small sculptures, pieces that don't beg for attention, but reward the attentive eye. There is a faint fragrance in the air, vanilla bean and sandalwood, soft and grounding. Music plays again, this time the sound of a lone piano improvising gently. Each note feels like a memory being folded and put away with care. Elise chooses a velvet armchair beside a wide window and nestles in. The upholstery is worn just enough to feel like it remembers every guest who's ever sat there. A server brings her a warm mug of spiced almond milk and places it beside her with a nod, as if the drink had been waiting for her all along. Outside, the sky begins to paint itself with pastels, lavender, blush, soft tangerine. The colors melt into one another like watercolor over silk, and Elise watches, not with awe, but with appreciation, like seeing an old friend become even more beautiful over time. There is no sense or lack here, nothing to reach for, nothing to improve, just the luxury of enough. She wraps her hands around the mug and lets the heat seep into her palms. The scent of nutmeg and cinnamon rises, comforting and familiar. It reminds her of home, not the place, but the feeling, the deep knowing that she doesn't have to earn rest or prove peace or justify her softness. She just is. The thought drifts across her mind like a feather on a breeze. If this is possible here, it's possible everywhere. Not the train, not the scenery, but the presence, the permission. She is beginning to understand. This journey isn't about going anywhere. It's about remembering how to be here in her body, in her spirit, in her breath. Other passengers begin to enter quietly. A couple holding hands, a man with a sketchbook, a woman in a silk wrap reading poetry by the window. No one speaks loudly. They don't need to. The silence itself feels alive, almost sacred. Candles flicker on each table. Outside, the sun kisses the edge of the earth and slips behind it with grace, leaving the sky streaked with pink and gold, like a silk scarf tossed gently onto twilight. Elise lets herself be still again, not because she's tired, but because she finally understands how valuable it is to feel, not produce, not plan, not perform, just feel. The chair seems to hold her more fully now. Her breath is long, her thoughts few. There's a kind of clarity here that doesn't come from thinking. It comes from softening. The way you can see deeper into a pond when the ripples stop. In her lap, she opens her journal. But this time, she doesn't write. She just rests her hand on the open page and listens to her heartbeat. And then, in simple script, she writes, "I belong to this piece." And she does. The train rolls on into the gentle blue dusk, carrying her not forward but inward, deeper and deeper into the part of herself that's always known how to rest. Night has fully settled now, soft and encompassing. The stars above blink in quiet celebration, scattered across the sky like confetti thrown from heaven's hands. The moon hangs low and full, a silver guardian watching over the earth's slumber. The train, faithful and gentle, continues its steady journey through the countryside, moving like breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Never hurried, never strained. Elise has returned to her private cabin, where the bed has been turned down. The sheets are crisp and inviting, and her favorite blanket from earlier, plush and comforting, has been folded at the edge, waiting like a loving gesture. A small note rests on the pillow. She picks it up and reads the single handwritten sentence, "Let your soul take the scenic route." She smiles. Whoever left the note understood the kind of journey she's on. Not the kind with miles and milestones, the kind with stillness, with subtle shifts, with sacred unraveling. She moves to the washroom, where a lavender-scented cloth has been prepared. As she dabs her face gently, she notices how soft her skin feels, not just from the cloth, but from the ease. Ease has a texture. It's something the body recognizes, and tonight, her body wears it like silk. She slips into sleepwear, loose, light, lovely, and climbs into bed. The sheets embrace her Like a lullaby, she presses her back into the mattress and exhales. A real exhale. The kind that empties the lungs and the mind in one sacred release. Outside the window, the world continues to glide by, but she doesn't need to watch anymore. She's seen enough to carry the peace with her. The wildflowers, the amber sky, the deer crossing a moonlit field. They've all become part of her now, folded into her chest like petals pressed between pages. She closes her eyes. There is no need to review the day, no need to measure its worth or tally its meaning. She doesn't need to replay conversations or map out tomorrow. She is already resting in the part of her that knows she is whole, even when she does nothing, especially when she does nothing. The train's rhythm becomes the rhythm of her own breath. The wheels whisper lullabies on the tracks. The cabin, dimly lit, hums with the frequency of safety. The kind of safety that comes not from locks and walls, but from letting go. In her mind, Elise imagines herself as part of the night. She is a star suspended in grace. She is a field of lavender swaying without rush. She is the steam rising from a warm mug, vanishing into calm. She is the train itself, moving forward, not because she must, but because she's ready. No pressure, no plan, just movement, just rest, just presence. As she begins to drift, her hand gently presses against her heart, and a quiet prayer, not of words, but of sensation, rises from her center. It says, "May I remember this. May I return to this place, not on a train, but in myself. May I give myself the softness I have always longed for." Her final waking thought is not one of the past or future. It is this: peace is not a destination. It is a permission I give myself. And with that, she floats, drifting deeper into sleep, rocked by rhythm, held by stillness, carried home, not to a place, but to her truest self. And somewhere in the distance, beneath the stars and sky and velvet dark, the vintage train hums on, carrying every woman who boards it a little closer to the peace she already holds within. The end, but only the beginning of rest.